Okay, candidate Crosby here again. Now, I want to talk to people and let them understand a little bit more about the spirit of permanent funds. Now, the thing is, basically, I really hope that you're getting good quality in a lot of these things, because when you upload these things, they don't always quite come out as good as you hope. But basically, I want to talk about the spirit of the permanent funds that I'm designing, because they're different. They're way different than anything else that it has designed before. I have more safety checks and balances. There's no golden parachute stuff built into them. There's no way for somebody to extract that. If there's ever a situation for a decided bonus, the people would have to decide on it each time in referendum. But let me give you a couple ideas. Now, to explain high finance and high profit to you, I'm going to give you an example of something that's not something that I would be proposing to do, because actually I consider it unethical. But let me give you an example. Basically, you have somebody who wants to do some real estate development. This is a true item. Basically, they have $1 million. They put a package together, they go to the bank, and they say, we want to borrow $30 million to build all of these houses and sell them for a profit. And the bank says, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. So, in a nutshell, they come back and they sell the properties and bring back in way more than $80 million. So after all of the cost and expenses, these people have made well over $40 million in 1 year, because they only started with $1 million and they worked with borrowed money. Obviously, that borrowed money had to come from someplace. Many people think that the money didn't just come from the banks. The banks got it from the Fed. And inadvertently, the Fed gets it from our Social Security funds or our pockets. That's where the money comes from, depending on your opinion. So basically, you're talking about people who, in that instance, were basically building a house for about $180,000 and selling it for $750,000 or thereabouts. That's the raw statistics, and we all know that that happened. Many people in California, if you didn't notice that that happened in California, you were probably hiding in a cave. But I wanted to bring it out as an example, because you need to understand that there are ways to work with solid assets that are solid. Because as it ends up, many of these houses ended up going into foreclosure and eventually even being sold at a quick sale auction. And in virtually every instance, virtually none of these homes went below $240,000 when they were finally liquidated. In a few instances, some of them were damaged. There was some damage and whatnot done to them, and they sold for around $200K. But keep in mind, that's still more than the actual development cost. So the type of projects that I'm be proposing are projects that are interlinked with items that we need for quake security, for solar scenario security, for new available homes security. So essentially, I'm going to be taking people that have minor infractions and giving them a job instead of paying to put them in jail, and taking police officers away from a leech quota system and putting them together with anybody else who wants a good paying job to go to work. 0% unemployment. And this is just one of the plans that I'll be working with. So effectively, there are a lot of safe houses that are needed. Well, instead of building expensive marble structures, we're going to change our policy. We're going to do things and we're going to modulize them. smaller, effective, affordable. So we're going to be building homes in key areas in a diversified manner throughout the state, in the middle of cities. And that is a distribution point, it's a safe house, and then it's on a rotational schedule. For instance, for certain types of security situations, the research indicates that the viability of the house is only good from 6 months to a year. Well, that means that we'll have to move the secret operations of that location elsewhere. That means now we're going to sell the house. Who's going to buy the house? Well, anybody who has, a teacher, anybody can come in and buy these houses. And they're going to be very decent houses, but they're not going to be the $180,000 to $750,000. We're talking about modest markups. We're talking about 20% markups. In many instances would effectively be the market markup zone. And in actuality, part of that built into the percentage of the system is the understanding that government doesn't pay taxes on itself, which means, the government can build a $90,000 house and not pay the $14,600 in permits. It's already considered a professional coded structuring management system, and therefore it is immune from taxation. So again, here's a bonus, because when you're building a $90,000 house, immediately built into it is this like $14,000 of profit zone when you go to resell the property, because you don't have to pay taxes and permits because the government is exempt. Now, when that house manifests and is sold, that money has to go directly back into the pockets of the citizens of California, because the citizens of California have been burdened for too many years, working with too many people in government that don't understand how to make profit and have been overburdening the people of the state. And so we're going to put a stop to it, and we're going to not privatize, we're going to make sensible for-profit business decisions. Now, that brings to a close a little understanding to give you an idea more about the spirit of one of the permanent fund styles that I'm assembling for California. And as a Democratic candidate, I believe that I have the best developed plan of any of the other Democrats. Michael Crosby, running for office, California.